How we doing, guys? Player Props with Bomb back here. Oh, I have a banner up. That's my own fault. I gave you guys the DFS value stuff right away.
Early.
I know I'm giving stuff away too early this time. I'm gonna get a tweet out just of the YouTube, just because I don't think everybody knows that now you can't ask questions from Twitter, which is weird. It's so weird that you can't ask any questions from Twitter.
Yeah, they changed the Periscope hosting or whatever, and it's really weird. So you can only see it in YouTube.
Yeah, dude, it's just weird. So I got to make sure I get this all out and ready to roll. Wait till you get some people in here. But yeah, I think we got a pretty fire lineup today for those 6 plays that we got here. How did week 3 treat you overall?
Yeah, it was a really good week for me. So it was a 8-unit profit on the whole. I believe it was, I don't remember the exact number, but I'm up to 25 and 14 the season, up 14 units. So
nice. That's huge, dude. That's awesome. I know the show has been fantastic. I think we'll go into the recap last time. Just going to give people a little bit more time here. And send out the YouTube link.
You got any college football this week? There's a lot of good college football, man.
Dude, there's a lot of really good games, but it's just so hard for me because right now soccer slates have been crazy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Dude, I have Bellator going right now. MMA or UFC starts tomorrow again. So it's just like, honestly, Saturdays I do like the early slate of college football, and then I just go straight into UFC because it's just been so profitable lately.
It's fair. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a good week, but I understand that. There's a lot. I saw you killed it yesterday on your show too with Ice, right? You guys destroyed it.
Yeah, it was like 15 units.
That's crazy.
It's different though because I don't do high units. Like 3's my max, and I rarely do max plays. So we'll check out who is in here. Mono Bank. Hell yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Beautiful. Jason Lewis, one of my guys. Looking forward to a great show. Yeah, I am too. I think this is going to be a really good one. Let's just get started. We're going to go with last week's recap, which is another one. I think last 2 weeks we were 10-2. Each one of us 5-1 in that round. So that is freaking nuts. You want to go over who you had last week?
Yeah, so on the show, let's see, I gave out Herbert, which hit.
Yep.
And then I gave out Mike Williams, I believe, which hit. So I don't have the 3 in front of me right now that I put out.
Yeah, I can pull it up here. We had Herbert 280.5, 1.5. That was beautiful. You had Renfro 4.5, which was stealing. That is stealing. This man runs 2-yard routes. It's stealing. Yeah. And then Mac Jones completions, which looked kind of sketchy early. Yeah. But that dude, man, he came through. We had – this is all last week. So he had 1, 2, 3 cashes. Yeah. Both was 5-1 in the last one. James Robinson finally, thank freaking Jesus. Urban Meyer finally came through to his senses. That was a nice one. 1.5. Mahomes, first drive cash. Baby.
That's awesome.
I was so hyped because my buddy's sitting next to me. We're watching games, and he's like, "How many did you have Mahomes at?" Because I was making food. He's like, "I said like 16.5," and he's like, "Well, he said a 20-yard run." I'm like, "Well, all right, we're done." And then, you have anything here? What the hell went on there?
So he played more snaps than Latavius Murray. They just didn't use him. I have no clue, honestly. I literally just not going to touch him ever again. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, he's completely off my board now for DFS. Going into DFS, Trevor Lawrence didn't do too bad at 6,600. That's I think he still had like 18 points.
Yeah. I was hoping for a little bit more upside, but it didn't kill any lineups. It was just okay.
Yeah, my value CEH killed it. Did really well. Top DFS for both of us were freaking absurd. Jefferson cooked. Eckler cooked. It was just a really, really good week overall last week. And we were this damn close. Fucking why are they throwing to Zach Ertz? When did this guy get rejuvenated? I don't know, man. But
came off the COVID list. I know. I'm letting us down, and it's tough. It's tough. You're 2 weeks in a row. You've hit them. I missed both in a row. I whiffed on Goddard. Ertz caught it out of nowhere. So
that was just so frustrating. But no one guarded him. Goddard was open on that play, but there was no one within 10 yards. So
yeah.
All right, before we get started, let's pop on over. Evening all. Greeting from Ireland. Damn, we got everybody over here. Hell yeah. Love to see it. Yo, what's good, fam? We're just ready to cash some damn tickets. Rolling into the new week here. Ben. Yeah, I think he only ended up with 5, and he had 5 in the first half, I believe, right? You got all 5 first half?
It was in the third quarter, and then he was just gone. I didn't even see him in the game anymore after that. He got it really quickly and then just dipped. So we'll take it.
Yeah, whatever works, man. Whatever works. All right, we're going to pop on. We're going to start going. We have 6 plays again for you guys this week, same as last week. Kind of the same rundown. And yeah, let's get to it right away. We'll get to your first one today, Monotone.
Yeah, so longest receptions props are one that not a lot of people play, and for good reason. It can be very up and down, and you might feel really bad if you play a prop and then they might cash their traditional yardage, but they don't have that long catch or pass you expected. But everything was just lining up way too much here for Matthew Stafford over 38.5. He's 3 of 3 so far on the season with 75, 44, and 67 as his longest passes in every game. And he leads the league in 40-yard passes so far this season. It's pretty incredible. He has 6 40-plus yard passes in only 3 games so far, and he's 2 ahead of Russell Wilson, who's second with 4. So he has the 5th best deep ball passer rating at 55% so far this year. And I'm not really worried about the Cardinals secondary at all. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of guys that most people couldn't even name. I believe they don't have anyone over a 5th-round draft pick back there. And yeah, it's not a great secondary. They have a good front line. Chandler Jones is bringing the pressure, but Stafford is not afraid to air it out. We saw Jackson actually look alive last week. He looked really good on Jackson for the first time in years. I mean, there are people on my timeline, shout out Prop Holiday, who called him for a touchdown. And I looked at him and I was like, yeah, right. He's played 10 snaps so far this season. I'm not going to do this. I sent him a DM after. I was like, you were right. I was wrong on this one, So they have so many deep threats, whether it's Cooper Kupp or Matthew Stafford. I think they're all great options.
Yeah, I usually never do these longest reception props or longest throw, whatever you want to call it. But honestly, I don't mind this at all because you have guys here who have yard after the catch capability. Matthew Stafford could throw a 5-yard pass to Kupp and he could take it 40 yards. That's not absurd. It happens quite a bit, actually. That's where he's getting a lot of these yardage. You don't see Cooper Kupp running deep routes, right? But he still, I think, has the second or third most 40-yard completions. So that's what I really like about it. If it was bigger dudes that really didn't have that capability, I would be kind of iffy, but Stafford does. He has Robert Woods can even break one, even on those little dump on the side. So I like this spot. I think this game is just going to be an absolute track fest. But I also really think the Rams just beat the living crap out of Kyler this week. I don't see them having an absolute chance in hell of winning this game. And I think Kyler's going to have to throw it all over the field, and I just don't think he's going to have enough to beat this Rams team that just looks kind of invincible right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have a lot of props in this game. My biggest one of the week is actually Kyler Murray passing yards. We're not talking about it here because we've seen a little bit of line movement. I want to get to the ones that everyone can bet right now, But I love this game. I think a lot of points are going to be scored on both sides, and I agree with you. I wrote it up over at Dimers. I think the Rams are going to win this one pretty easily, cover the spread. I wouldn't even hate a +7 alt spread or -7 alt spread right here. I think the Rams are a significantly better team than the Cardinals, despite the fact that the Cardinals are good. I think the Cardinals are a borderline playoff team, but I think the Rams are a borderline Super Bowl winner right now. So it'll be a great game for props either way.
Yeah, for sure. Poor sound. Do we sound off, guys? Are we a little, I don't know, are we just not loud enough? You got to let us know, obviously. I can hear them, but obviously we're just sitting here talking. So if you can't hear us very well, all good now? Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure that we get all that out there before we start rolling here. So my play, I'm going back to one of my boys here in Nick Chubb. I have a 2-unit play on him. He was my 2-unit play on the first or second week of the show here. And I had it at 77.5 on DraftKings, seeing 78 on FanDuel. This is honestly, I was pushing this possibly as a max play. I was very, very close, but the only reason I'm kind of off of it as a max is because Kirk Cousins hasn't looked awful, and we know the Browns are extremely game script heavy. That's the only reason. I personally believe that we're going to see Chubb probably get pretty close to this in the first half. The reason why I'll go through all my numbers and stuff here. Chubb has cleared this in every single game this season versus the Vikings team, who the Browns have a 63% run block advantage over. Highest one of the week. 63% for Pro Football Focus, which is absolutely absurd. You don't see numbers in the 60s on that, plus minus that. You never see that. Chris Carson last week got this on 12 carries, 80 yards. Even Edmonds for the Cardinals, 8 for 46. Kyler in that same game, 5 for 31. So we're getting pretty close on the rushing yards there anyway. They just use Kyler in different ways. And then this is the one that I think has the biggest capability of happening is we have Joe Mixon, who ran 29 times for 130 on these dudes. He ran 29 times on these guys. And guess what? If the Browns have their way, the Browns will not pass the ball more than 20 times here. They're going to hand this ball off, whether it be with Chubb or Hunt. If he gets 20 carries in this game, this is an absolute nuke spot. Absolute nuke spot. Through 3 games, Vikings are averaging 4.77 yards per carry to opposing running backs and 358 yards per game, or 358 yards through the 3 games. So we're easily over 100 yards per run, like obviously per running game for these teams. So, and now you get Nick Chubb, who top 3 running back in the NFL. If you're talking pure runner standpoint, Chubb's Vegas rush attempts is at 15.5 this week, minus 115 on both sides, so even spot. And when he has had 15-plus carries, even last season he was 7 for 8 when he had 15-plus carries in it. 83 in week 1. He went only 11 carries against the Texans, went for 95, and he had 22 carries against the Bears. And that's kind of what I see this happening as. Slow this game down. Kirk Cousins has not been bad this year, fantasy-wise and like numbers-wise. He's not been bad at all. And he went 22 for 84 on the Bears front 7. Yeah, I will take Nick Chubb here all day on this defense. And like I said, the only reason this is not a 3-unit max play is because Kirk Cousins is surprising me. He's surprising me. And, I mean, obviously the time I bet against him, he obviously sucked, but I like that. So I really, really like this play. 77.5 is kind of disrespectful to Nick Chubb this year. And he just got this against the Bears, dude. Like, I don't get it. What do you think? Am I crazy?
This is one of those games where who's shocked if Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt both have like 100-plus rushing yards by the end. Like, what's happened is we've seen OBJ come back, which is good news for this play, believe it or not, because while he is looking good, you know, and we'll take a couple snaps, or not snaps, but he will take a couple touches away from anyone else in the game. That also means that we finally have to give the Browns passing game a little bit more respect. You know, without Jarvis Landry there, we were sitting with Donovan Peoples-Jones and Anthony Schwartz. You know, those guys are getting no respect. We're stacking the box against Nick Chubb because he's one of the best players in the NFL. But now we're going to have to respect the passing game a little bit more. And we know for a fact Stefanski loves to run the ball. They almost game plan every week like a rookie quarterback with Baker Mayfield, where they're trying to protect him. They'll unleash him every once in a while when they need to, but there's no need to right here. They can run the ball pretty much all day against this Vikings. As you said, that pass blocking advantage is insane. You know, that's the best one of the week. It doesn't surprise me at all. People have been able to run all over the Vikings easily, slow the play of pace down, especially with Cousins looking so good. He is the PFF graded best quarterback in the league so far this year. I'm sure you love to hear that one. But
garbage yards.
Yeah, but he's been efficient and he's been able to score. So what they're going to want to do is not let him get that opportunity. Run down the field all game with Chubb. Run down all game with Hunt. I think both of these guys hit their numbers, and I think Chubb goes well over 100 yards right here. So I love this one too.
Yeah, this is crazy. I sent this out to VIP stuff like about an hour ago. I put it down as a smash spot. Literally in my writing, it says smash spot because it was 77.5 literally 5 hours ago when I looked at this, because I do all my stuff the morning of because of the line movement that we've seen. That's why I don't post it to Twitter beforehand. I'll post it after. So people on here get the best lines. But damn, dude, that's quick. I do agree. I love OBJ this week. I think he's a fantastic spot. But when you have to only hand a ball off to a dude and he's getting 5-6 yards a pop, why would you not just keep doing that? I'd rather have the ball in Nick Chubb's hands than Baker Mayfield. Yeah. And I think I'm not the only one who thinks that way. We can hear good, both good. Okay, perfect. All right. Let's pop on over. Play number 2, Mr. Monotone.
Yeah, so I just put this one out about 40 minutes ago, I want to say, right before we got on this show. And I really like Christian Kirk this week. So just to give a little bit of context to people that don't know, I guess, how I feel about this team, I was totally out on Christian Kirk coming into the year. He's in one of those situations where they drafted Rondo Moore and signed AJ Green, and I was like, okay, he's done. You know, they don't like what he contributes to this team, and that's fine. But he's completely proved me wrong. He hasn't gone under 60 rushing yards so far this season. So that's box scores of 7 and 104, 3 and 65, 5 and 70, along with 2 touchdowns in that game. And he's had 8, 4, and 5 targets in these games each. So this is a crowded wide receiver core. It is important to remember that. But DeAndre Hopkins is banged up with a rib injury, and that's something that doesn't go away. He's going to play through it because he's a really tough guy and he's a good player. But that's going to hamper him a little bit, as we saw last week. And then to add on to that, now he's going to have Jalen Ramsey following him all around the field. You know, that's pretty tough. But Christian Kirk is, speaking of PFF, their second best graded wide receiver so far this year. And he actually leads the league in receiving yards from the slot above Cooper Kupp by 19 yards. He has sneakily been one of the best wide receivers in the league, but because Twitter and football media is so obsessed with Rondo Moore, who is someone that I also am a fan of, we're overlooking guys like Christian Kirk. This should be in the 50s at least. So this is a 1.5 unit play for me, and anywhere up to 47.5 I think is a smash spot, because Kirk is just getting all the work right now, and he's been incredibly efficient. And like we said earlier, I think Kyler's going to be throwing the ball a lot this game.
Yeah, no, I didn't put it 1.5 on here. I put it on the bottom, though, that we had the 1.5 for you there. But so I always kind of equate this to I know I equate a lot of stuff to MMA, but with recency bias in MMA, you get knocked out, your next fight, you're coming back a dog. It's just kind of how it is. And that's how the media runs with these NFL guys. Rondo Moore had, 2 huge games, and then the last game, people actually kind of know who he is. Guess what? He had 2 catches, right? He had 2 catches last game. He is not better than Christian Kirk. Yes, he got more open, but that's because other people are looking at DeAndre Hopkins and Kirk. It's just game plan scenarios, right? You're not going to just let Christian Kirk or DeAndre Hopkins walk all over you. You'll be okay with the 3 guy walking all over you, and that's why this is just dumb. This could easily be a one pass, right? Because the front 7 for Arizona is going to make Kyler run all over the place, and he's going to chuck it up. Whoever gets it, and Kirk's probably faster than every single one of those back guys, especially with Ramsey shadowing on Hopkins there. So I like that a lot. I will be tailing you on that one.
Yep, he has a 15. Oh, sorry. Before we get into this question, real quick, He has a 15 average depth of target. So this really takes 3 catches for us right here. He's running deep routes, he's running efficient routes, and when he's on the field, they're making sure to get the ball in his hands. Yeah,
I don't think there's a question. Just telling you it's a good play. I like it too, man. It's a great spot, good find. Awesome Hooper receptions in this game. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's close. I mean, it's just. I'll talk about it later. I'm going to talk about OBJ later on in the show. But I mean, OBJ is getting 30% target share in his first game back healthy. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. I do like Hooper as a tight end, as a cheap DFS option, but I don't know. I would need to see it happen a few times here before I start rolling with him. All right, we're going to my second 2-unit play. Obviously, I don't usually do many 2-unit plays, but this one I feel is an absolute banger, and you guys can let me know if you think the same way. All right. So Daniel Jones on DraftKings is at 22.5 rushing yards. All right, minus 110, 2 units. This was earlier in the day. All right. He went 8 for 39 against Atlanta, 9 for 95 on Washington, and 6 for 27 on Denver. All right. Now he gets New Orleans. New Orleans just gave up 6 to 28 to Mac damn Jones. What the frick, dude? Mac Jones is getting 28 yards. I'm telling you, Jones is getting 60.
Yeah, that might be his career best, honestly. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Ever. Even at Alabama, he barely ran. So 6 for 28 is absurd. The other two games was Rodgers when they were getting blown out and Sam Darnold. So, I mean, two guys that are not going to have any capability to run. And this is one thing that I did see as well is with New Orleans, they the Giants have a minus 22 pass blocking disadvantage here. And then both games they had the disadvantage was Denver and Washington. He obviously still ran the ball. So I always equated to if I have a guy scrambling around and I have to run around the pocket, I have more opportunities, right? If it's just me sitting back there all day, I'm going to throw. I like it when they have a negative pass blocking advantage for running quarterbacks because obviously sacks don't count for their rushing yards. So I love Daniel Jones's rushing spot here. I like kind of the equation of if you watch that Washington game where, I mean, they have Cam Jordan here for New Orleans, those strong outside pass rushers. What they did to negate like Sweat and Chase Young for the Washington football team was they ran that option with him and Barkley, and all he had to do was tuck and run, and no one went with him. He does not look athletic. He does not run well. It's just awkward, but he's fast as hell. That man is fast for running as ugly as he does, man. And only 22 yards. I think this is exactly the same thing as Mahomes. Exactly. This is my spot. I love it. 2 units. Throw it. What do you think? Am I stupid or what?
Yeah, no, I don't think you're stupid right here. So Jones is scary to me because, like all the things you said a minute ago, he's an ugly runner. He's not quite the most ugly-looking guy in the world. We all saw him fall in primetime last year where he tripped and messed up the touchdown. But I think you bring up a good point, especially when pressure is in quarterback space. The number one thing they do is tuck and get out the pocket when they have the ability to do so. Guys like Sam Darnold and Aaron Rodgers can't really do that. And I would have said Mac Jones too, but apparently he figured it out last week. But Jones does have the ability to do that. We've seen it every week so far. And this is another really good defense. He's played some tough defenses so far besides Atlanta, when you look at those other games. And he still got there. I think he does it again this week. I'm a little concerned that they get destroyed in this game. But it could be one of those situations where their safeties are playing back. It's kind of 24-6, and he just breaks off a couple chunk runs, to just get there pretty easily. And I agree, the RPO is exactly what I was going to mention. We saw Trevor Lawrence do this a lot last night, and I think we're going to see the same exact thing with Daniel Jones, where he just keeps it. Everyone is going to look towards Barkley because he's probably their best offensive player right now. But I think he's going to keep it himself plenty of times. I'm curious to see what the rush attempts would be here too. If it's around.
I'll have to dig around on DraftKings here while you go through your next one. But yeah, man, just because he's an ugly runner, I think he just gets a bad rep. Yeah. Because this man is I think 5th or 6th in rushing yards for quarterbacks right now, which is absurd. And this is what 21.5 on Caesars. Thank you. That's a great pickup. See, but this is something here. Is obviously I understand. I have Washington's defense in fantasy. Yeah. Washington's defense, it hasn't been good. But are you going to tell me that Chase Young and Josh Sweat aren't doing what they're doing? Those. I only care about the front 7 here. I don't care about the back, right? They got carved last week on the back by Josh Allen. Yeah. But I only care about the front 7.
Yep. Chase Young had 6 QB pressures last game. They forced Josh Allen out the pocket almost every game. It's going to be that kind of thing right here where Jones is going to be forced out the pocket by another equally good pass rush with the Saints, with guys like Cam Jordan that you mentioned before that are going to win those outside battles and really force him to get out the pocket and use his legs to beat him.
Yeah, it's just the look, I think. I think it's just the look that scares people.
Yeah,
probably. He runs so bad.
And he fell too. I mean, the falling thing, it's real. People remember that shit. They look at it, they remember it. I remember one of my bigger plays last year was DeAndre Swift was a rookie in week 1, and he dropped a touchdown pass.
Yep, against my Packers. Yeah. I remember that game.
Yeah, so the next game I played receptions, it was like 1.5. This guy's been a pass catcher all his life, and everyone was what they saw was him drop it, and they were like, this guy sucks, and I hammered it, and it obviously cashed the next week. I think this is another one of those situations where people just have a bad, mental image of Daniel Jones running the ball.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we're going to go from mine to another rushing prop, but this is going to be for your play here for your last one.
Yeah, so we're talking about Jonathan Taylor over 69.5 rush yards right here. And this is one that I haven't posted anywhere else. I'm talking about it first right now on the show. And it's just a 1-unit play, nothing super crazy. But Jonathan Taylor struggled a little bit this year. So he hasn't hit this number at all yet this year, despite the fact that he has a 4.2 yards per carry so far this season, which is above average. And he's been pretty good. Last game, he got to 60 yards on only 10 carries. So I think what we're going to see right here is we're going to see the Colts realize that, one, Carson Wentz is not very good, which I think we already knew. But two, Miami can't get out ahead of this team and force them to throw the ball. Miami has the same exact problem where both of these teams are dink and dunk teams that are going to slowly run the ball down the field and get these 5-yard passes and keep doing it, and they keep adding up. And I think we're finally going to get that Jonathan Taylor game script that we wanted this whole time. 69.5 rushing yards would have been a hammer last year with Taylor in the second half of the season. He was in the 80s almost every week, and that's for good reason. Jonathan Taylor's a really good running back, and this team still has a fairly good run-blocking offensive line despite the pass-blocking struggles they've had so far. I think we're just buying low right here. I think this is the definition of a buy low opportunity. And Taylor has everything we want. He has the talent, and now I think we finally have the game script that we want, because I would be shocked if Miami could get ahead by more than one score. Maybe, I don't even think 2 scores is in the question right here. I mean, we saw what Miami did last week against a not great Raiders defense. They still had to slowly go down the field like snail's pace. It was very hard to watch in overtime. I just wanted to go to sleep. It was still on red zone. I had to keep watching, but yeah, it was a tough watch, but I think that's going to benefit us here. I think that slow pace, that handing the ball off, not being forced to throw the ball down the field, which Wentz has not been good at so far this year. I think we're really going to finally get a huge Taylor game. And I don't mean 69 yards or anything like that. I'm talking about like 120 yards, 2 touchdowns kind of game. I think this is truly like a breakout spot for him right here. And the buy low window is going to close very fast.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that over concerns me is Nyheim Hines, right? And I do not like this Miami offense at all. It's nothing that you should really be afraid of. And if you're obviously coaching this Colts team, you'd rather have, again, it's the same thing as what I said, Baker and Chubb. I would rather have the ball in Taylor's hands than I would in Carson Wentz. And I think we're going to see that here. I would not be surprised to see him 20 touches, 20 carries alone. I would love to see what his attempts at. If anybody in here can check the rushing attempts.
Really high. It's 16.5. They put it super high. They put it 16.5.
Honestly, I would probably still take the over on that. I think he gets 20 touches. They're going to make this a freaking grind fest, man. It's going to be if you're an offensive lineman, you love this game. You just beat the crap out of the guy across from you and just try to get downhill. And obviously, you said buy low spot. I'm buying this dude's talent. This man has been good at every level, right? So you buy in on the talent. Like, we've seen him in these games where he's making so many guys miss, and I don't think he's going to have any sort of issue with these guys. I will be starting him in fantasy, probably getting him in a couple of my DFS lineups with this buy low spot here because he is way too cheap.
Yeah, and then I saw a quick thing about any sour taste with Taylor props earlier in the year missing. I bet on his receiving yards earlier in the year, and they decided they don't want to do that anymore. So I won't be doing that anymore. But no, this is totally different. You got to have a quick turnaround in this kind of industry. You got to just be able to move on and keep it going. And I think that's what we got to do right here. I love Taylor's spot this week. We missed a couple weeks ago. Let's make up for it. Let's make that money back right here.
Yeah, you need to have short term, that's for sure, or else I would not have touched anywhere close to James Robinson. We'll talk about this.
That's on the memo.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff you guys are saying, we're going to be talking about. It's kind of funny that you guys are already on pace with us already here. So you guys kind of know what we do, or you guys know us too well.
Yep.
My last play, we are going to Jalen Hurts. This will be my first Jalen Hurts play. that I think I've had. I've had him in DFS multiple times, but Jalen Hurts, his number here is at 293.5 for rushing and passing here. And he's going against the Chiefs, right? This is going to be a huge game. Chiefs are angry. Philly just got embarrassed. Now Philly's going home, right? They're heading home. The Chiefs have allowed this to every single quarterback they played against this season. And guess what? One of those was when I bet on freaking Baker Mayfield's passing yards. He dropped 320 on these guys. And Baker barely throws the ball usually. So I remember cashing that one pretty big in the first week. He carved up this defense. Lamar had over 100 rushing yards on these guys. And Herbert, I think, barely cleared this. I think he had like 280 and the 19 rushing yards. So very close to that 300 game as well. Like I said, 320 to Baker. That's unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen Baker throw for 320 before. But when they get this negative game script, that is absolutely perfect. If you watched that Eagles game last week, and I would tell you that Dak Prescott had less fantasy points than Jalen Hurts, you would think I'm crazy if you watch that game. Am I right? I mean, he played like absolute dog crap for that game. That man still put up 22 fantasy points. And it's just garbage time. It's the rushing upside. I mean, he still only had like 38 rushing yards, but still 300 passing yards. I'd like to be able to see that they kept him in even down 2.5. I think it was 24 points or whatever. When they had him in that last drive, they even let him go in. I mean, they didn't get the first down on it, but I like that they kept him in. I like that they showed they're willing to ride him out, even if they're getting smoked, which easily could happen here against the Chiefs. But I like them at home here. And Hurts, his passing completions on DraftKings, I checked it before. Completions is juiced to the over at 20.5. Why is that important? So he's thrown it twice this year. He's had 20-plus completions, and he's hit this number twice. Last year, he only threw it twice, or completed 20 of them twice, and he was 2-0 against it last year. So every time he's completed 20 passes, he is 4-0 to this number. And that's not even counting his rushing. He literally put 300 yards up on the board when he completed 20 passes. That's absolutely huge. 24% run block advantage and a -2% pass block advantage, which is great. We can see him run the ball. We can see him get outside the pocket. We can see him use that athletic ability to make things happen. And I love when they have negative pass blocking advantages because really, do the Eagles really have a elite deep threat? I mean, Rager showed that he can get separation. I mean, their best stuff is dump downs to the running backs and going to Goddard and Ertz. So I don't mind this at all with a negative pass block advantage because he's going to dump short anyway and he's going to run with it. So I love the spot. What do you think? I know you love these Hurts lines. I know you've hit it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so I've cashed Hurts in one way or another every single week. I had the same exact prop last week, and as I tweeted out when we won on prime time, this is the ugliest cash of the season so far. I mean, Hurts was so it was a tough game. The interception he threw on the first drive kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. They were behind the whole time, and pretty much what was happening is he was trying to look deep constantly, and the safeties were playing back the whole time. They knew that Hurts had to throw the ball deep to get back into this game, and it kind of killed any offensive momentum. But that being said, he still got there. So this week, what I think happens is I think we're in a very similar game script. I mean, Mahomes is not going to let them lose this game. And I don't really believe in statement games that much, but I think the Chiefs might have a statement game right here. Like, I think some people are starting to finally doubt them a little bit, and I don't think that's what they should be doing. I think the Chiefs are hearing all that, and I think they're going to demolish them, and that's great for this prop. Well, it's not normally great in most sports. Right here, Hurts is going to be almost in the same situation he was in last week. People in my Discord have been bringing this one up since Thursday, and I don't even have a reason to tell him not to play it. I'm just like, he was just so bad last week, but he still got there almost easily. He got there with room to spare. So it's hard to doubt these kind of props when he's done it so well, especially with that 20-plus attempts. I didn't even know that. That's a great number. And I think I'm going to have to tell you on this one because the game script is just setting up so well. I can't envision the Eagles being up and running the ball all game. I just don't see that happening. It's almost impossible. So I'm with you right here for sure.
Yeah, I love it. Let's I think we have a couple people talking about this one too. Let's get to some questions before we get to our DFS stuff and get it rolling there. Actually, I won't click that one because we'll talk about it in a little bit. What do you think about Hurts over 235? I love it, dude. He's 4-0 to this number with 20 plus completions on just getting to this 293. So 235 is a smash spot. I just like the first half option being possibly a slower first half with low pass attempts, where the Chiefs obviously are going to be way better at running the ball against the Eagles, as we've seen with Dallas just cooking them last week. I think that is going to be a very slow first half. So I think that we're going to see probably Hurts not that many passing yards first half, but that second half taking off and him having about 50, 60 rushing yards in that first half there. So posted in Discord. I believe that's yours, right? In your Discord. That line dropped 12 yards since it opened. I mean, 305 is tough, man. I probably wouldn't even touch 305. I would almost probably bet the under at that initial line after seeing how bad they looked. But digging into it more, like I said, it's recency bias. Again, people bet low. What do you think?
Yeah, no, the public is super unpredictable. As someone who's on gambling Twitter all the time, almost
it's a crazy place.
I think I know what the most popular plays are going to be based on what I'm seeing from, myself and guys that I respect. And then these sites post the props that are the most popular, and they're just ridiculous. They're very random. And I think this is a very easy situation where everyone saw what happened last week. Everyone. This was a primetime game Monday night, and Hurts looked terrible. So when you put up a 305 number like that scares a lot of people away. People don't think of the garbage time. They don't think of all those easy dump off completions he got to the tight ends. They think of that interception he threw in the first quarter and just how bad that team looked. So I think the public is just, I think they drove this number down a little bit, but that doesn't scare me. I sometimes I think too much about line movement and it messes with my head, and I just try to block it all out. It's unnecessary stuff. There's sharps on both sides of every play. You got to push that line movement stuff out your head the best you can. That's my advice.
Yeah, no, it's good advice too. This is what we're talking about, Ben. We're talking about Jalen Hurts rushing, passing over 293. One last question here for you here, Monotone. What do you think?
So Hunt is going to be on my card in some way or another. It might only be a half unit play, but I've pretty much made up my mind that his receiving yards are going to be on my prop or on my card. I haven't decided between receiving yards or receptions yet, but that'll be on Twitter at Monotone Football. So I'll let you guys know when I do. But I do support that play. As for Saquon, I have a hard time with this Giants team this week. They're out Golladay and Slade and Shepard. So they don't have a lot of options here. But 3.5, I don't feel comfortable playing Saquon right now. It's just the truth. I think he could get there. I think he could even get his rushing yards. But the front like 5, front 7, all that for the Saints is good, and it's scary. And I don't really want to mess with it. We saw it last week. The Patriots didn't even try. They let Mac Jones chuck it all game. It didn't work, but I think they knew that Damian Harris wasn't going to get anywhere in this game, and I think I'm a little scared of the Saints line right here, so I'm staying away from Saquon.
So I'm actually going to say I would not take the over here. I said earlier when I talked about the Giants a little bit there with Daniel Jones is they have a minus 24% pass blocking advantage here. They don't have their two short guys, right? They're two quick guys. The reason I think this is I think Saquon's going to have to damn block. I think he's going to have to be in there to hold these guys from killing Daniel Jones. I think the way that we get to the over is if it's like those dump down, if the game is out of reach almost, but I don't see this. Saquon's not a garbage time player. If they're losing, he is not in that game. They will not risk him with his injury history. I think Gallman would come in here and get all that garbage yards that he always gets. I don't see him.
Been cut by a couple teams, but
did he? Oh my God, that's why I don't even.
Devontae
Deion Lewis? Who was it? Deion Lewis? Who was that other backup that I seen playing for him?
Deion. I don't know if he's still there or not. Deion Lewis hasn't been a real household name in a while, but I know Booker, who used to play for Broncos, is there. But the point still stands. They take him out when it doesn't matter because this guy can't stay on the field. So
Yeah, I think it was Goldman last year then that I'm thinking of that.
Yep, yeah, for sure it was.
But yeah, I don't know. I would if I'm even thinking about it this much, I probably wouldn't take it. Like when I see a play that I really like, I just smash it, and then we look at over and all that stuff. But thoughts on Adam Thielen over 5.5 receptions? I hope he clears it. He's on my fantasy team. But I'm actually going to talk about Thielen here in a little bit again.
Yeah, I like
you guys are crazy.
I like his Vikings counterpart a little bit more, but we'll talk about this a little later. So I don't think it's a bad play, but
yeah, we have one or two questions left. We'll pop those at the end after our DFS round, probably because we're going to answer a lot of your stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Here, so DFS value and DFS top plays that we've been dropping have been bangers, guys. I've had these in every single Sat Hero lineup. I've been killing it over there, 80% winning rate right now. So these are. Listen to these. If you're going to do DFS, throw these in your lineups because I don't know. We've been just hot, so might as well tail out, guys, on even the DFS portion of it. So I'm going to let you start out with Cadarius.
So Cadarius Tony is someone that I have a season-long under of 525 receiving yards, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. That being said, we're seeing a lot of injuries with these Giants, and Tony is a big play kind of guy. So what we need at this extremely cheap price point on every single site, he's super cheap, is we just need either one big play or a couple small plays. And this really lets you do whatever you want in the rest of your lineup. But Cadarius Tony, I believe, led this team in snaps last week at the wide receiver position. And I mean, we saw some good things. I think they're willing to give him the ball both out of the backfield in these end around kind of plays and these cool reverses. I think he's going to get a couple bubble screens. I think he's going to get a couple slants. They're going to hope he makes some kind of big yards after the catch kind of game because they really need it. They won't have a lot of time in this game. They're going to be forced to complete a lot of these low A-dot throws. We're going to need to see a very creative game from Jason Garrett, which yeah, I know. Yeah, but I gotta trust that this team will understand, even if it's only in the second half, that Jones is gonna have very little time, and when he's not tucking and running, he doesn't have a lot of great options. The ones he do will be shut down by this elite secondary. But Tony doesn't really fit into that. He's not out there running traditional routes. He's a little bit more of a, I don't want to say a trick play kind of guy, but similar to what we see San Francisco do with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Cadarius Tony's really cheap this week. We really only need him to grab a couple nice plays right here, and I think he'll pay off in a lot of DFS lineups. I haven't been active on DFS discussion this week, so I'm not sure what everyone else thinks about this, but I hope this is not very popular because I think this could be a really sneaky one, especially if he catches, gets some kind of good end around kind of pass, something like that, and he grabs like a 25-yard touchdown run. That I don't want to say it's slate breaking, but that makes the rest of your lineup so much better when you hit on these value guys. And I think he was the best pure value I saw, just considering how much he was on the field last week.
Yeah, and this right here, this guy right here is going to be your GPP one that you want to win with. There's going to be a lot of chalk this week, guys. There's going to be a lot of chalk, a lot of great matchups everywhere. Yeah. Probably seeing Hurts in lineups, Mahomes. You're going to see Clyde Edwards in a lot of lineups. Probably going to see Tim Patrick in a lot of lineups.
Yeah,
right? Sure. They're cheap guys, right? A lot of guys that are going to garner at least 50% ownership, probably.
Derrick Henry.
In a lot of your 7 to 5 entry plays, they're going to be 50%. And this is the guy that's going to get that 10 points. That guess what? His 10 points matches a guy who's 8,000. You're getting three grand off of it, right? That's what it is, finding value, right? That's the whole point of DFS and how to win these big tournaments is finding this value. I love it. I'll have to sneak them into one of them. I only do 3 entries, so
it's risky, but this lets you do whatever you want. I mean, you can play Derrick Henry at whatever crazy ownership he's going to be without Julio Jones playing. You can play whoever you want when you throw a guy like Tony in, and all he has to do is get you about 10, 15, points or 10 points to pay off, or even 8 points to pay off, and then around 15, 20 as a ceiling. Most guys in this range don't have that kind of ceiling, so we're rolling the dice this week, mixing it up.
Yeah, and I'm going a little bit higher for my dart throw. It's not really a complete dart throw, but he's way too cheap, I think, for value perspective. 6,600 OBJ this week. He got 30% of targets last week from Baker. Even if this turns into a slugfest on the ground with Nick Chubb, I mean, he still had 9 targets last week. Baker threw the ball 31 times, I believe, 9 targets for him. 5 receptions, 77 yards. And the biggest thing for me was to see how explosive he was going to be with the ball. And he was able to still make guys miss. Yards after the catch was there. He was still blowing by guys. Even on balls he wasn't getting, he was still getting by guys. And that's what I needed to see. That's what I wanted to see from OBJ. And I think that this is the last week that we're going to get this price. He's not going to be here after this week, because I'm going to probably guess he's getting me at least another 70. He'll probably be a prop for me here. I wouldn't take his receptions as super juice to the over 5.5. But I think I'm going to throw a little bit of maybe a 1-unit play on his, I think it was like 68 or 70 receiving yards. And I think that that's very, very close to the realm of possibility here. And I think it'd be a nice little dart throw that we're going to get for probably the last time with OBJ, just because the name value carries a lot of weight.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, OBJ has a very safe floor too. Like you said, 30% of targets last week. Who is he competing with right now? I'm not really worried about any of these other guys. I think Austin Hooper will get his 3 for 25. David Njoku will get his 2 for 10. Hunter Bryant, they like those tight ends. But none of those guys are going to give you a ceiling performance. OBJ can break the slate any week. It's just a fact. He's done it in the past. And what we saw last week was great. He looked like his old self. I don't think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot this game. But one thing we do know is that their opponents can put up points. So they might need to match that. They run a lot of play action. Maybe they don't hand it off to Chubb and he gets a one bomb and that really pays it off. OBJ, he's kind of back in my opinion. I think we're seeing some return to old form, despite the fact that Baker Mayfield is going to only throw the ball 20 times a game. I think he'll be a good chunk of that every week.
Yeah, and that's all it is. Value. Just got to find the value spots. These are the plays that we're going to have in most lineups. Probably, I'm going to guess decent ownership on both of these guys this week, but for good reason.
Yeah. So, the Jonathan Taylor show continues. I've talked about it a little bit more earlier, and I feel the same way. I normally try to avoid guys that don't have the highest passing upside in the world in these lineups. Like you have Kamara, he obviously presents great pass catching opportunity. And with my last 2 picks of the week being Austin Eckler 2 weeks in a row, and then Joe Mixon, who all contributed in the air. The good thing is Jonathan Taylor does have a catch in every game. He has a couple multiple reception games. We know he can do that. And he's kind of a yards after carry kind of guy. They're not necessarily giving him good routes to run like Austin Eckler, but what they will do is try to get him in space and see what he can do after that. And that's good enough for me. But like I said before, I truly do believe that he could have 120-yard, 2-touchdown upside in this game. We talked about it a little bit more, and we'll talk about it more after this too. But Jonathan Taylor is leading the league right now in carries inside the 10-yard line and carries in the red zone. He has no touchdowns this season. That's pretty incredible. He's due for a touchdown. That is the definition of regression. They're going to keep handing him the ball off in the red zone, and he's going to get in one of these. He's way too good not to. So I have all the faith in the world in Jonathan Taylor. He doesn't need a couple catches, but I think he could get them. So I love Taylor this week, and he'll kind of be my anchor in a lot of lineups.
Yeah, and you talked about before with his yards is this game script's going to fit, right? He's going to be out there. Nyheim Hines don't run between the tackles. Yep. He doesn't. And I think he's too brittle to do that anyway. They use a lot more screens and stuff for him. But if they're winning and they're trying to run clock, those dump downs are going to Taylor, right? I think that this is a game that the Colts need to win this game. Like, there's really no other option for them if they want any chance of competing in there, especially with the Titans having as many injuries as they are. They have to get pushing ahead while they have those guys on the bench. And I am rolling with Alvin Kamara. He is my DFS Stat Hero MVP in multiple lineups this week. Decently priced. I think he's like the second or third highest running back. But yeah, 35% run block advantage for New Orleans. I love to see that. I love that for rushing touchdowns as well. We haven't seen Jameis really get outside the pocket either, so I really like having a guy that's not really mobile. When I have a quarterback that steals touchdowns, that really pisses me off. The vultures, that really ruins it for me. Like last night, Trevor Lawrence, I think, stole that touchdown from Robinson. I know you had that. I'm pretty sure, right? You had the Lawrence touchdown.
Yep, I hit Lawrence touchdown 450 last night on Twitter. Let's go.
Yeah, nice. And really, I had to see before. I haven't talked to Kamara on any of these because I had to see if Jameis would learn to check down. And we started to see that in both wins. He has had 20-plus touches against the Packers. He touched 26 times. And I'm guessing I'm going out on a limb here and think that the Saints probably win this game. And with a 30% pass or run block advantage, perfect game script. And even if the game script flips, it doesn't matter. He is matchup proof. He cannot be guarded by just one player. I love this spot. I love him in I don't know DraftKings. I've never played DraftKings, but I know in a PPR league like Stat Hero and then a half-point PPR like FanDuel, he is going to be all over my lineups this week, where I think a lot of people are going to go with Henry. But I'm still going to take the passing upside of Kamara at a cheaper price point than Ryan with Derrick Henry in this spot. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add. I agree with you. I think with CMC going down, he owns the most market share out of any running back in the league, whether it's in the rushing game or passing game. This guy has no competition. He is on the field more than any other running back in the league besides Najee Harris. So that's number 2 at 86 or 89% of snaps, I want to say. He's out there all the time. He has all the opportunity in the world. And honestly, if you just played Alvin Kamara every week in DFS, you'd probably be winning. Like just flat out Alvin Kamara, beyond the fact that he always shows up and has a pretty safe floor no matter what. He also has multiple 3-touchdown games in his career. You know, he wins money, and that's the kind of guy I like to have in my lineup. I think it's a good ownership pivot away from Henry, who's going to be so popular this week without Julio Jones and AJ Brown on that team.
Yeah, and I get it. It's just there's somebody in here just said Derrick Henry reception yards are only at 18.5. I would say that is honestly, that's probably high. I don't see them passing the ball more than 15 times in this game. Derrick Henry might run the ball 40 times, guys. And I'm not even fucking with you. He might run the ball 40 times if this game is close.
This division is terrible, by the way. As a Washington football team fan, my division gets a lot of flack, but this division, no matter who the Titans play in the playoffs, because it's going to be the Titans, I'll hammer whoever they play. Like this, it's just so bad. Like I don't even know what to say. It's just, it's a mess.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm looking at this, I might take the under.
I mean, the only counter I have would be, I think he has been hitting this at a pretty good rate. Yeah, I'm not sure, but the thing you got to know is when you want to play receptions props, right? Just fundamentally, you want guys that they manufacture touches for. So a lot of receiving game backs get they cash their props in the 2-minute drill. That's what we see with guys like J.D. McKissick all across the league. The problem is in the 2-minute drill, Jeremy McNichols comes on, who is a fabulous college football player, like one of the best out there. And he is now on the Titans, and he's in the 2-minute drill almost every time. So it worries me when Henry comes off the field in those situations. And he's just not a pass catching back. I can see the overhitting any week, but it's just one I'm probably never going to touch, unfortunately.
Yeah, just too many variables. And yes, I would 100%. I would probably start Teddy Bridgewater this week if I had to go between those two. Yeah. I just think that there's really a high chance that you're going to see the Browns type of field to this game where they throw it 20 times and instead of switching between Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, it's just straight Derrick Henry every play up the middle. And it's going to be just like, what game was it 2 weeks ago against the Seahawks? He was averaging like 2.6 yards a carry and then breaks a 70-yard. They break teams down. We break them down. We'll talk about the rest of the stuff here after we get to our favorite portion that we need to get one. We will get one this week. I'm feeling this one. We won the little lower odds. We had 680 last week, and we were inches away from it. We got a plus 331 monotone. I want to hear you keep talking about Jonathan Taylor. He's a Badger.
Yeah. I mean, I think the key stat is he leads the league in red zone carries and he leads the league in carries within the 10-yard line. The opportunity is there, and opportunity is what we look for with these plays. I said it all. I think he's going to have a monster game. Miami is not going to jump ahead of this team and demolish them. They're going to be able to run at their own pace all game. And I'm just excited to see it. I really don't have much more to add. I think this is a great pick, and it's plus 110 too, even on its own, which I think is a nice sprinkle too.
Yeah, both of us, I think Thielen's plus 105 or plus 115.
Yeah.
Yours is plus 110, gets us at 331. I love Adam Thielen. He is probably my favorite fantasy receiver ever, man. Because every time in the red zone, it does not matter. They do not have a tight end that is like a huge threat like everybody was thinking Irv Smith was going to be this year.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson gets every yard down the field. But Kirk Cousins finds Thielen every single week. He reminds me of Devontae Adams for the Packers. Does not matter who's covering him. Doesn't matter if there's two covered. They run that pick play off to him all the time. They run that pick fade to him all the time. He's caught one in every single game this season. I don't have the exact number of his red zone target percentage, but I would guess it's damn near 65% because I have watched a lot of Viking games, and this dude is targeted in the red zone every single game.
Yeah, this isn't one you need numbers for, Thielen, right? If you watch the Vikings play, Kirk Cousins' eyes are to Thielen on every single passing red zone play.
Yes.
Justin Jefferson gets a couple touchdowns on these deep bomb passes. That's always going to be there. But when they're in the red zone, it's incredible. Thielen is so consistently the number one target, and teams don't adjust. I mean, the reason I have a lot of Aaron Jones in fantasy this year is because I thought Devontae Adams just put up like 18 touchdowns last year. They're going to adjust to these motion plays. They're going to adjust to these fades. Everyone has seen it on tape. I can see it. These coaches should be able to see it. Thielen's been doing this for 2.5 years. He's been the red zone guy. No one is adjusting. They're scared of Dalvin Cook for good reason, but nobody is adjusting to this. So as long as teams keep letting this happen, I'll keep riding it. I think this is our best shot so far, even though we've gotten really close. I feel good about this one.
Yeah, and the thing is doesn't even if Cook isn't in there, Madison makes you still respect the run game. And Kirk Cousins, one thing I will give Kirk Cousins props for is his play action fakes are fucking good. Dude, they screw up the camera like so often when he plays because he does it so well. He gets it all the way out there, full extension, and then finds his guys. Thielen obviously is one of the toughest receivers in the league. They run him right through the post routes, right through the middle. He got smoked last week, still caught the touchdown, still celebrated. You know, he's just a tough dude and just one of those guys that you just got to back. He's one of those guys that's always there and always going to put it on for you, right? He's a guy that you like. I always think of him, he's like a dog, right? He's like an underdog in all these games. Or in MMA, I always want a guy who's going to fight for my money. Adam Thielen will fight for your money. He will find a way into the end zone. Does not matter who's in front of him. He finds a way to score. And I think he scored every single game this year. I have him in fantasy. I think he has 4 touchdowns because he's my number one receiver, and I think he only has like 4 or 5 catches a game, but one of them is always a touchdown.
Yeah, same. He's on my fantasy team too this year, and it's great. He doesn't it's the red zone is his spot on the field. You know, he's chilling before that, just getting some cardio in, and then he just turns it all up and gets the job done in the red zone. I don't even know what to say. He's done it for 2 straight years. I'm going to keep riding it with you.
And Adam Thielen over 5.5 receptions. Yeah, depends on Cook. If it's no Cook, I'd probably take it. If not, it'd be a toss-up for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And another thing, too, is I haven't said this anywhere else, but I've been keeping this one very close to the chest, but I will share it here, is that Justin Jefferson over 5.5 receptions, if it does fall, it's been 6.5 plus money all week since opening. I've refreshed this line once an hour pretty much for the last 2 days. If it drops to 5.5, I love Jefferson. That'll be either 1.5 or 2 unit play. So we'll see if those bookmakers drop it. But I think Thielen is a red zone target guy, but Jefferson is lighting it up all across the field, especially in games where Cook is out. He has 10 plus targets every time. So Jefferson's my guy in this receiving core.
Yeah, that was my biggest play of the week last week, was a 2-unit play on Justin Jefferson over 5.5. Almost damn near it was like the first drive of the third quarter. Easy cash, had his yards and his receptions, and he was my stat hero MVP, dude. He is so good, especially without Cook. Montgomery over 17.5. I love Montgomery. I think that I just don't know if I like going to specifically receiving. I would probably take both. I would take his rushing and receiving against the Lions this week, because he should just carve him on the ground. And it's going to be the same thing as James Robinson, right? He was like a yard off, but he didn't get any receptions. And that really fucked me. That was like my biggest play of the week. So I would be more on the receptions and rushing, besides just straight receiving.
Yep. A lot of receiving game work happens when teams are behind, when they're forced to throw the ball more. I wrote this game up earlier today, and I think the Lions cover the spread. I think it'll be a relatively close game, but I think it's going to be a real ugly game. I don't have a great reason to tell you not to play this one, honestly, but it just doesn't jump off the page for me, and that's enough for me to not bet it. But I understand where you're coming from. I think it's very possible.
Higbee or Logan Thomas? I have Logan Thomas this week. He's in my lineup for season-long fantasy. It really depends. Logan Thomas is so much more of like a even keel. Gets me like 11 to 13. Sometimes when he catches a touchdown, he'll get you 15. Higbee's a big play guy for a tight end. He's got that big play upside. I would say it depends. If you are winning and you're just looking to kind of grow up ahead, probably Logan Thomas. If you need a ceiling game, I would probably go Higbee. He's got definitely a higher upside, but Logan Thomas is definitely a much safer play.
Yeah. I would say I picked Logan Thomas in 75% of lineups as opposed to Higbee 25. I think Higbee should be really good on this team, and I'm not quite sure why he's not. He's out there all the time. He's at the top of the league in terms of snap share for tight ends, but for whatever reason, he's just not super involved in this offense. I think Stafford loves bombing it downfield all the time, and when he doesn't bomb it downfield, he's got Robert Woods, who's one of the best short yardage receivers in the league, to kind of play that tight end kind of role. Logan Thomas, they get Atlanta, who sucks against tight ends for good reason. Everyone and their mom played Kyle Pitts last week in DFS, and they lost. But that same reasoning is because this team is not good at defending against the tight end. And now that it's Logan Thomas instead of Kyle Pitt, who knows? Either way, I believe in Logan Thomas, and I would take him in this one, despite the fact that Higbee should be better than he is so far.
Yeah, for sure. I'm high on the Redskins, man. Or the Washington football team. I have in one of my leagues, I have him and McLaurin in the same lineup, and I'm loving this week against the Falcons. Matt Nagy is an idiot. I 100% agree. Very hard to trust any Bears thing. Same thing with the Jaguars, right? It's the same thing. Just know that coaches are not all created equal, guys.
Yeah, I wrote my Bears Lions article earlier today, like I mentioned. I sent it to my editor, and his only response was, "Tell me how you really feel about Matt Nagy." I think I mentioned him getting fired like 3 times in the article. This team's a mess. It's the worst game plan I've ever seen for a rookie quarterback in my life. I've never seen.
And you had like 4 weeks to plan this, right?
It's ridiculous.
Like you would assume that you're planning for the future with this dude. That's why you drafted him so high. But yeah, it's stupid. It's frustrating. What do you think? I mean, we just talked about it. I don't trust this team at all. I hate the Bears. I'm a Packers fan, man. I hate the Bears, so I'm not a guy that asks this question to.
Yeah, just pass. Just this Bears offense is a mess. They just announced a minute ago that the quarterback is going to be a game time decision. So we don't even know. I mean, I would be more comfortable with Nick Foles or Andy Dalton than Fields just because of what we saw last week. I like Fields way more than those guys, don't get me wrong. But that game plan was so awful that I'm just going to stay away, really, no matter who it is. If you have them on your fantasy team and I guess you got to throw them out there unless you got someone really good on the bench. But yeah, I'm not looking at any Bears targets at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm a Packers fan. I'm biased. Don't ask me on those. I would say I was looking at it. I almost would think I would take Mac Jones' attempts is what I was looking at. I know we talked about how you're more of a completionist guy, but you are going to run into a wall. Literally going to run into a wall with this defense. I'm going to pull this up. Let's see this. I'm going to pull this up that the passing game, I'm going to look at this in a second. What do you think on this? Let me pull up some numbers I was going to find.
Yeah, so Jacoby Myers, I believe, has hit this in either every game so far this year or almost every game. I think he's coming off like huge target games back to back. I like it for Myers specifically. Mac Jones, yeah, I talked about how every week I think his completions number should be 24, 25, and how last week it was only 21. So I liked it so much, and now it's 24. So they obviously were listening. So they bumped it up to a fair spot. But, yeah, I don't know. Tampa Bay is a tough matchup. Their secondary hasn't been great, so I lean over in both of these. But I'm going to write this game up later tonight for my Sunday night article at Dimers. So I'll have my thoughts more fleshed out there if you guys want to check that out then. But right now, I lean over, but I don't feel super strongly about either one.
Yeah, no, I just think that they're going to have to throw the ball if they want to move it. And the only reason I'm very over happy in this game here is because you literally have Bill Belichick versus Brady, and Bill Belichick has to pretty much do it on his own. This man's going to come up with some crazy shit. McDaniels is going to come up with some crazy shit to find a way to get this done. And honestly, I think that the Patriots cover this, as crazy as it sounds, just because Vegas would be holding this line at this spot for this long with 95% of the money on it if they didn't kind of have something, you know?
Yeah.
They were dangling the 6.5 on you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man, it's tough. That game has had me spinning in circles, so I would take both overs, yes. How about Chargers, Raiders? What do you lads think this one will go? I'm leaning Raiders 3.5. If Jacobs is there, I kind of like that. It really depends on him, to be honest, because I don't think we're going to see a Peyton Barber type of game like that again. And the way to beat this Chargers team is to just run it down their throat. So if Jacobs is at end, I would lean 3.5. If not, I don't trust Peyton Barber to do whatever 2021 Peyton Barber is on right now. They need to get him checked for roids because he looked actually fast last week.
Yeah. I don't even have any words for Peyton Barber. And Gruden's now in the media, too. They're like, is Jacobs going to be back this week? He's like, yeah, probably. But Peyton Barber, he's earned this spot on this team. And it's like, oh, great. That's what we need to see is a Peyton Barber, Josh Jacobs running back committee. I lean Chargers right here. The Chargers' pass defense has been the 7th best in the league so far, while their run defense has been 32nd, which is last. I think the Raiders aren't adequately equipped to beat this team. I think their weaknesses are the Chargers' strength, which is the secondary, specifically the safety core that plays back a lot. I really wanted to bet Henry Ruggs this week. This is one I was waiting for, but the way the Chargers corners are playing, the way they hold back their safeties, if you watch the tape on Henry Ruggs, he beats the cornerback, and the safety help normally goes to help out with either Waller or Renfro, and that's how we get these huge completions. I don't think that happens this week. I think the strengths are deep passing and efficient passing, and I think the Chargers might be able to curb that. So if it's up to Peyton Barber to win the game, I'll take the Chargers.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, dude. Tyreek Hill got shut down by these guys. I literally had Tyreek Hill under. I took every single stat hero that they had with Tyreek Hill MVP. I took the other. I would go against them because this team literally wants you to throw dump downs. That's literally what they want you to do, and they want you to run the ball. So if Jacobs isn't in, it's no chance.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Cowboys, Panthers under 51.5? I do get it. I do understand this. But fuck, that line is – I think that line is pretty sharp at 51.5. I think it's going to be damn close to that. It's 28-24 type of game. The Panthers' defense is good, but you have so many damn weapons on this Cowboys offense, man. It's going to be tough to slow these guys down.
Yeah. I don't bet totals that often. I very rarely do. So I'm passing on this one, but I did mention that if I had to pick a total, it would be the under right here. Both these teams have surprisingly played good defense so far this year, and I think we could see that. So if I had to pick a side, it would be the under. I wish it was 52.5 though. Like
I know that's that spot. It's that spot. Yeah. All right, last question here before we sign off. We're a little bit over an hour again here. I got to dip out soon. So last question. I hope Robbie Anderson gets more involved. Yes, I do like Robbie Anderson this week. I have him in fantasy. Yeah, he's disappointed me, man. I sat him last week, thank God. But yeah, I mean, you can't see them not using him now. I saw a rule talk about getting him more involved, but I don't trust that man.
Yeah, I'm a DJ Moore guy, and right under that line in that article that everyone keeps sending around where he says Robbie Anderson should get more involved, he also says that he doesn't expect Sam Darnold to change much from what he did last week, and that was throw the ball to DJ Moore. I know some pretty smart guys. DFS Prop Bomb is on this one in terms of over. There's some smart guys that are trying to buy low right here, but I have absolutely zero interest in playing Robbie Anderson overs anywhere, and especially make sure to play yards over receptions. He's not a dump down kind of guy. I really want to stress that with some of these guys. If he's going to cash it, it might be like week 1 where it was 1 catch for 51 yards and a touchdown. But I'm passing on Anderson this week, despite a lot of smart people hoping that he gets more involved.
Yeah, so I think that's the last one we have on here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for everything. This we love doing this, man. It's fun. You guys are this. It's crazy how fast this grows from week 1 to right now. I mean, we get so much more like interaction, like at least like 12 scrolls down my finger, which I think we only had like 5 or 6 in the first week. But I guess that comes from profiting from bets and looking forward to adding on to a 16-6 overall record. DFS has been great. You have any closing remarks before we go our recap of our plays?
I had a lot of fun. Follow both of us on Twitter. It's right here. I think I enjoy doing this a lot, and I hope we can keep adding to that record because it's been like 17-6 is a really, really good record. I mean, we're not those kind of guys. We're not going to rub it in your face all the time. That's a good record right there. So
yeah, and the craziest thing is 10-2 in the last 2 weeks. So that's like. I mean, we went 7-4 in the first week, and that's not bad. That's a pretty good week.
We had too many plays.
We had a fuck ton of plays.
Yeah, that's the problem. We honed it in a little bit, and we found our groove since then.
Yeah, so let's go through monotones right here if you want to go through yours here.
Yep, so we got 1 unit on Matthew Stafford over 38.5 longest completion or reception, whatever it is on your book. Christian Kirk over 42.5 receiving yards minus 110. That's a plus 1 or 1.5 unit play. And I would play it up to 47-ish. And then finally, 1 unit is Jonathan Taylor over 69.5 rushing yards minus 115. Haven't posted this one anywhere else besides this show. So I hope you guys tuned in and liked it and got it early because this one hasn't moved at all.
Yeah. And then obviously Taylor is going to be his touchdown and his DFS play along with Thielen for me for the touchdown prop. Kamara for my top play, and OBJ is my value guy, and I'm going to let you say his name.
Cadarius Tony.
And then my 3 plays, 2 units on Nick Chubb, 2 units on Daniel Jones, and 1.5 on Jalen Hurts. So we got a lot of units in play this week. Might as well ride the hot hand while we're going this way. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys. We're going to need to come up with a name for this show pretty soon. I mean, we're getting a lot of views. We're getting a lot of people on here, a lot of people tailing. If anybody has ideas for it, definitely shoot us a DM. We'll listen to it because we never came up with a show name. That we just came in and we just threw out some bangers. That's all we came to do.
Yeah. I'm not the creative mind we need. I need to outsource this job to someone else.
Yeah, so definitely DM us if you have it. We'll put some more plays out, obviously. But we're trying to improve that record. We're trying to get if we can get a sweep and get one of those touchdown props to win one of these times, we're gonna be cruising through that book. But thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. We'll be here. Thank you guys for popping in. We'll see you next week. Peace.